All right. Hey, everybody. I am so glad we have fantastic attendance on this webinar today. We have a special guest, Dr. Matt Mannino. But before I introduce Dr. Matt Mannino, I will be passing the ball over to two brand partners who I did not know. They're on my team a few levels down. But the topic today is the neuroscience of prosperity. And I took a picture of Dr. Matt's slide, so I'll make sure I have that subtitle just right. How to create wealth without sacrificing your values or your peace of mind. And I think for the sake of this recording and the people that I may be able to help, um, and I'd shared this on another recording, actually, the recording I did with Melinda, and I don't even know if I've introduced myself. I'm Terry Beatley. I head up the champions team with LifeWave. And my prayer, my hope is that the content of this webinar will literally go way beyond even our LifeWave family. I hope and pray it'll bless your LifeWave business and your mindset. And I pray that it'll bless the people that you end up sharing the recording with. I have many different reasons why. Part of this was my own learning curve. I don't really come from a traditional network marketing background. I network across the United States of America because of the pro-life ministry that I run. It's critical to be connected with people in 50 different states. But when this was brought to my attention that many people need a financial mindset breakthrough, that they've got shackles on them, in the beginning, it was hard for me to relate to, and this is why. When I think I was around 16 and a half years old, my parents went broke. We lived in a decent house on the water in Lancaster County, Virginia. But due to a variety of different reasons, not pertinent to even, this conversation. But my parents were cash poor suddenly. And I remember somewhere around 16 years old having the telephone cut off because my father could not pay the electric bill. And for a few days, the electricity was cut off. I mean, did they have net worth? Yes. Were they cash poor at that time for a variety of reasons? Absolutely. And it did imprint on me, but it was the opposite of what I'm hearing, like the majority of people who have been shackled by um, their own personal stories of what their parents put in their head, um, which Melinda Bacon, I think, has one of the most compelling stories of all time. But then also the misguided interpretation, and I'll say it now, the Bible, I believe in many Bible verses being misconstrued, making Christians think, oh, you're going to have more blessings in heaven if you're dirt poor here on earth. And as for me and my house, that is not biblical. And I'm not trying to turn this into anything theological, but it saddens me.
Mhm.
What I did to counter my experiences as a teenager was when Kenny and I got married at 21, I postponed parenthood for 10, 11 to 12 years because what was more important to me was my financial spreadsheet, was my net worth. And I tinkered for the sake of a balance sheet my 20s away by not having children. So it wasn't that, was it motivated by fear? Because it's like, oh my gosh, I never want to be as broke as my parents. Absolutely. So when I hear stories of people so shackled and thinking that they're not supposed to have wealth, and they're Christians, they're part of the body of Christ, and they're so scared of it, I look at that as a complete and utter disbalance. But make no mistake, the fact that I don't have 6 or 7 children is another disbalance because
Mm.
of my mistaken understanding and my mistaken worldview, if you will, because I definitely didn't have a biblical worldview. I thought I did, but I didn't. And so and if you can go ahead and tee up Scott and Melinda Bacon, these are brand partners down in Arizona. And I'm down in Florida right now, so I should say over in Florida. I mean, over in Arizona. Maybe that's, I don't know if I'm going the right way on the Zoom call. But as far as I'm concerned, you're to my left, west. But when I heard Melinda and Scott tell me about Dr. Matt Mannino, and then Melinda on a Zoom call, which we don't have time to get into all that today, because but I encourage people to go and look for that replay on Champions, and I will be reposting it. Got to hear Melinda's story, but they introduced me to Dr. Matt. And I thought this might be a great thing. And I encouraged everybody to come with, I don't know what necessarily everybody's background is or your faith journey or whatever, but just listen to Dr. Matt's, free 1 to 1.5 hours, whatever it's going to be today. And we'll do a Q&A and let's just see, does this help anybody? um and so Melinda and Scott, if you two would kind of do a little brief introduction. I was going to do this, and literally about 8 minutes ago I called Scott and Melinda and I said, you guys need to jump on because you're the connection to Dr. Matt. I can do it, but it's better coming from you because you've gone through the free session he did whenever that was, and then you've gone through his course and you had breakthrough. And then the climax of your breakthrough was when you came in person this past August to Next Level. This is it, team. This is another reason why I want to see how many people we have on here. This is awesome. We got a great big crowd. I want to see if you're a brand partner with LifeWave, at least on my team. Everybody better get their ticket to Next Level. Well, first comes the virtual in January. Get your virtual ticket. And then make sure you are in there with butts in the seat in Orlando, Florida next August because of what Scott and Melinda are getting ready to tell you. And then you all pass the ball to Dr. Matt, and let's have a great time. And thank you for jumping on. Glad you had your shower today.
Even put on makeup.
All
Well,
right.
we're honored to be here and we're thrilled about this.
Yes.
Terry, I have to say that the fact that you had shared with me that some other people had expressed the similar issues that I had made me really feeling isolated, like I was the only one who had this Christian cognitive dissonance about wealth and prosperity.
Exactly.
And Dr. Mannino knows both of our stories pretty intimately, but we had the privilege of, at our church, attending his seminar in January. And it was honestly, I think, an initial breakthrough because just like peeling layers of onions, I think we are going to benefit in his upcoming even more at deeper layers. But in reality, what happened, and I really relate with your comment there, Terry, when I was not consciously, intentionally walking with the Lord in a Christian life, I was very focused on money and I didn't have a problem. When I came into where I wanted to be closer to the Lord, then all of those subconscious childhood scars surrounding false teachings from the Bible, false interpretations of the Bible, and teachings like you mentioned, like, you have to be poor to go to heaven. When I wanted a closer relationship with Jesus, then those subconscious faulty beliefs came back and created a nasty cognitive dissonance in me. And it interfered with really a subconscious guilt about, well, better not make too much money, better not become too rich, have too big a car or house or whatever. And so it actually that dissonance manifested in lifestyle and not the proper accumulation of wealth that really we should be at.
Yeah.
And so in any regard, I'm so grateful we went through Dr. Mannino's seminar at our church, and it really unearthed, especially one of his stories, that the fact that there was this subconscious belief in me because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and then in through his or through his seminar, it one of the stories he told just hit me, and I became aware. And it started, went through his seminar, and then still was having trouble reconciling becoming wealthy with also using that wealth for the kingdom.
For the kingdom.
But when we saw that altar call at next level, and I just heard the number, 1,000 people went
Yes.
forward to accept Christ, we're
Yep.
like,
It was
Gina
huge.
and Steve spend their money to reap souls for
Yes.
eternity. And if they weren't as successful as they were and helping others to be successful too, there wouldn't have been as many people attending that service in the first place
Exactly.
to hear Pastor Todd and go forward and accept Christ. I'm like, that brought it all together.
They wouldn't have
And
been
that
able.
day, even a Jewish woman came to Christ that day.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
There's probably dozens of stories about that too. You know, that was an incredible experience. And one of our mantras is the goal is the soul. So we put the soul above money, but we recognize that you need money because it's just like breathing air. You need it to be able to survive here while we're here. We can't take it with us, but we can impact so many more lives when we have it. So it's important not to worship it, but to have it. For me, it was a little bit different. I mean, this was kind of it was like a training yet, like a sermonette kind of the training that he did on the financial seminar at our church. And what it touched on with me was all my influencers prior to the age of like 12 were all middle class saying, you know, you're going to be impoverished the rest of your life, learn a trade, don't even bother with college. That was the kind of attitude in several families. So it was a little bit different. And I realized that conscious and unconscious effect of those people's words that they spoke into mine and everybody's life around them. So I know I want to be free from those. And I want the full course to be able to really experience that. And I'm prepped and ready and excited about what's going to be loosed as part of this training.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I'm thinking before we bring it, we'll go ahead and bring on Dr. Matt, Chris, but keep all of us up here. It's funny that, well, not funny, just the dichotomy of this. What my father beat in my head was, Terry, you can be anything you want to be. You can go as high up the professional ladder, break the glass ceilings. And but there was like no balance to it. So it can be extremes in both ways. So I'm going to sort of zip at least momentarily. Go ahead and you two introduce your dear friend, Dr. Matt.
well, we're proud to introduce Dr. Matt Mannino, and we know no one who is more expert at the neuroscience of prosperity and in integrating biblical worldview.
Yes.
So take it away, Dr.
It's all
Matt.
yours.
Dr. Matt, welcome. Thank you to the LifeWave team. And I want to make sure you are not muted. So make sure you're not muted because we did not hear your voice. And the other thing, Dr. Matt, is we want a really good recording. Whatever background you have, it's chopping off the top of your head. So that's going to be really distracting. So maybe not make your background blurry. So
All right,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
let me see if I can. This is
And while he's fixing this, I thank everybody for being on. We've got a great big group, and this is just the beginning. We've got 68 people on the call. Fantastic numbers for a first go around. And if you end up really appreciating what you're going to hear today, you know, that we can double this if it makes sense to you and all of your brand partners. So Dr. Matt, you introduce yourself. I know you as a chiropractor, but more than that, as a business coach. And you not only teach businesses how to take it to the next level, but individuals as well. So the ball's in your court, and we're going to go off screen and you just take it from here. But welcome. We are a very loving family, and we just like to be ourselves. And that's why I put out that really ugly video of me. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to make a video real quick. And then when I watched it, I'm like, holy smoke, I just put that all on Facebook.
We're
Oh,
all family.
it's like getting out of the shower. It's like, oh, great there. You did a great one on that. So welcome, Dr. Matt. We're excited about the next hour or so.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna no, I just Terry, so appreciate your energy and your passion, your commitment to putting this all together. That's that, that leadership really sets the stage. And so I'm proud and excited to be a part of it. And shout out to Melinda Scott. Really appreciate you making the connection and the introduction. And I've been doing this for a while, and we're going to be sharing a few things, but just to connect with the message, and that really what speaks to my heart is that I've been speaking for a long time, been doing this for a while, and you all, Terry and Melinda Scott really connected with the essence and the message that I was bringing, and it went a lot deeper than just motivated, and you got something out of it. So I really believe it's a divine connection, and so excited to be a part of that. Now I'm going to share my screen, so hopefully you'll be able to see my little PowerPoint, and I'm hoping that you guys see that, and maybe
We see,
combination. Is that good? Do you see that
well,
there?
we do see it, but we also see the next slide. So make sure
All
you go
right.
down bottom right and click that slideshow and you're good to go.
Okay, I was hoping it would. Okay, let me come back.
Doc, maybe you can go to display settings at the top.
Oh, display settings, got it, and swap it.
I'm not able to see exactly oh,
Did that work for you guys?
no, it did not.
You still see the second?
End the slideshow or try to figure out a way to restart it. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry.
All right, no, I appreciate it. Let me try it again.
And are you on a Mac or PC?
PC.
Okay. I know on my Mac, it's the bottom right.
All right, let's see.
Do you see that bottom right? And it looks like a, projector. It's that last little icon there. Huh.
So what are you seeing now? The second slide or the main one?
I see the main one, but the second slide, well, it's actually you're on slide 2. Swap presenter view on slideshow.
How
Maybe
about that? Did that
there
change?
you go. That's it. And just go back to your slide 1 and we're good to go. Perfect.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right.
Perfect. There you
Yeah,
go.
I love technology. Appreciate your patience with
Good
that.
old display settings.
Yeah, no, I'm usually I'm guesting, right, and doing the speaking, being interviewed. So this is my first time actually working my own PowerPoint. So I appreciate the patience with that. But no, so just a little bit about me for everybody to know that the goal here tonight really is renewing the mind by rewiring the brain. So the goal is to help literally retrain the brain to think better, be more productive, and work for you, not against you. I've been doing this for a while. Like I said, my company's called Source Trainings. I started it less than almost 20 years now. And it started as a coaching program working with other chiropractors because the principles that I'm going to be sharing and teaching, at least with the short time that we have together, are the very things that I did to build one of the largest chiropractic practices in the country. Over 1,000 patients a week, multi-million-dollar office. And I attribute none of that to my skills or my knowledge or my education. I attribute it to these principles that we're teaching. And the principle is powerful because a principle, just like electricity, gravity, works every time for everybody, provided you apply it properly. So it's a combination of not only learning the principle, but applying it as well. And so we're going to be looking at how do we apply some of these principles to your LifeWave business, specifically looking at improving wealth, increasing wealth, and growing. But it's really, again, this process of the inner game. And I found this out really early on with coaching people. At first, my mindset, my motivation was tell them what I was doing, how, the scripts and the systems and how I was training my staff, and some of the marketing, all the external how-tos. But what I was like, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So either I was not that good of a coach or I was missing something. And so I started just sort of coming back and saying, okay, what did I access within myself to produce these results? and I began to connect with motivation and passion and belief systems and mindset. So I made this shift from outer game how-tos to the inner game. And so that's our focus tonight. And it's something that, again, Terry and Scott and Melinda, I feel really resonated with, because I've worked with a lot of different companies and businesses and churches, and I feel it's the missing link. I feel it's the blind spot that people don't address. And this is really important because even the research shows, if I get my uh, the research shows, the neuroscience studies show that 70% of financial outcomes are based on the inner game, the mindset, the belief system, these motivations that are hidden, all this stuff happening behind the scenes. And to me, I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, we should start with that. Somebody starts a new business, somebody gets into a new venture, a new investment, something that is different and not, part of the status quo, which we're going to talk about, is first and foremost, you got to see what's going on in the inside. Is the inner level, the deeper levels of consciousness, in alignment, in agreement with this? My conscious mind thinks it's a great idea, but the subconscious could have an entirely different meaning. And as we talk about these two levels of consciousness, work on two entirely different language systems. It's like, Japanese and German, right? It's totally different. And so, since we're talking about this inner game, we really want to sort of focus on that. Your leaders, Terry and the Bacons, and even the upper level leadership in LifeWave, the tools and the techniques and the strategies and the products are proven, and they are set. My experience working with other multi-level companies is that it's second to none. So there's no way you can put, let's say, blame or let's say that's the reason, well, the product doesn't work, or maybe their systems aren't. No, tell you right off the bat. So if for some reason your business isn't growing, or for some reason you keep hitting these walls, for some reason it's just not working out the way your conscious mind thinks, well, maybe it's this inner game. So that's what tonight's about. And so as we look at this, really important, again, 70%. So some of the things we're going to be looking at: the inner game, how to expose these unproductive mindsets, how to retrain the brain. And that's what I want you to realize. This inner game part, is an organ. If this training was about how to run a marathon race, we would be talking about your cardiovascular system and your heart and how you improve your aerobic conditioning, right? Well, we're talking about the part of your brain and part of your body and nervous system that controls thoughts, behaviors, habits, emotions. And so if some of those things are conditioned or not in alignment with some of your goals, then we should be looking at it, right? And I'm also going to be giving you some steps, like talk about a shift and an upgrade. We need a mental shift, and then we need an upgrade or an to accompany that. So I'm going to be giving you some of those things tonight. And these are brain-based business ideas to go with your LifeWave business. One of my favorite quotes right off the bat, as sort of alignment with what I was just talking about: as long as you think the problem is out there, that very problem, that very thought is the problem. Stephen Covey, right? So again, sort of really connecting with just stepping back and saying, okay, all these things are going on out there. Let me put the mirror on myself. Let me take a look at what's going on. And I'm going to tell you that this is not the easiest thing. I've been doing this for, again, over 20 years, and it's easy to talk about the principle. It's very easy for me to give you the action steps and the process to work with this. But I want to tell you, there's going to be some resistance. And just, fair warning, I may bring up some things that you may not agree with, that you may not necessarily, be, all kung fu. But I'm actually going to say, take a look at those areas, because the more resistance, the more potential of your breakthrough. And so the analogy I use here is one I used in my chiropractic practice. Terry already mentioned it. It's all about breakthrough. The spine, and we call it a subluxation. It's when the vertebrae gets out of alignment and begins to interfere with the innate intelligence of your body's ability to heal and repair itself. So this is the first principle, is that there's an innate intelligence, there's an insight, there's the wisdom of God within the body that knows how to heal, repair, restore, renew, and regenerate every tissue. The challenge becomes when that intelligence, that insight, gets interfered with or blocked. Then disease, dysfunction, and disorder have no choice but to show up in your body. So they taught us in chiropractic, and they really drilled this in our minds for the first year, of this philosophy, this idea that you don't do anything. Don't get all on your high horse. You're a doctor, and you don't heal squat. It's the intelligence of the body that does the healing. And as long as you're, I would, as long as there's breath in your lungs, you can be a patient here, right? The potential for your body to heal and repair is there. The challenge, again, there's some interference. And I took this principle early and saying, okay, this principle works. The principle supersedes my knowledge, my intelligence, my skill set. That's what I'm going to practice with. That's the confidence that I'm bringing to the table when I'm working with patients and clients. Not my, I've developed my skills and talents, but it was the principle that I trusted in, because principles work every time for everybody. And when I graduated, $80,000 in debt, I'm thinking, okay, I've learned, I got a degree, got a license and all this stuff, but there was zero training in business. And so I just went to the thing that I really trusted and really sort of, again, was ingrained in me, that hey, there's a principle that governs this. And so my thought is, hey, if there's principles that govern health, maybe there's principles that govern wealth. And I begin to research and study that and begin to work on it. And those are some of the things I'm going to share with you, because there are wealth principles. But now, instead of a subluxation of the spine, and Scott already mentioned it, I refer to it as a subluxation of the soul. There's some blockage in your brain, there's some blockage in the nervous system, there's an intangible interference, not a bone out of place interfering, but a thought, an idea, a memory, an emotion. There's something interfering in the intangible realm that's blocking not your ability to heal, but your ability to produce wealth. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "For God has already given, downloaded, you have it, an ability to produce wealth." And when you look into the Greek, it's actually Hebrew. The Hebrew says wealth, it's money, it's finances. It's not just, more happiness. It's specifically referencing a God-given innate talent and ability to make money. Just like it's a package deal. Think of it like that. It's a package deal. This package that of innate healing that automatically keeps your lungs breathing and food digesting is also wrapped in this ability to make money, and your gift set, your talents, your abilities specifically for that. So keep that in mind. Breakthrough is the principle, works every time for everybody. And so the three areas of blockage we're going to be looking at tonight, and I'm going to get through as much as I can, and I appreciate your patience with this, but because I could literally spend an entire training just on one of these, but we're going to get through them. Personal money mindset. This deals with your inner circle growing up in development. We're going to look at wealth, global wealth paradigms, and finally, your hardwired neurological nervous system. And just like I said, be ready to expect some resistance to change. Because bottom line is, when we deal with your nervous system, its goal is homeostasis. Its goal is equilibrium. When we look at the fleshly man, the Bible talks about this. Its job is basically safety. Its job is survival. It's not growth. It's not expansion. That's your higher level of consciousness. So again, be ready to expect that. And Scott already mentioned a little bit about it. This idea of cognitive dissonance. Really, and Melinda mentioned it. Cognitive dissonance, and I want to. This is important because this stuff is happening whether you know it or not. Meaning that research has been done, that they did some studies, they hook up, you've heard of the fight or flight response and the stress response, and they asked people, hey, are you stressed out? How's your life going? What's going on? And 80% of said that, yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good, no stress, whatever. But when they hooked up and did some EKG tests and checked the heart and nervous system, they found that they were in a state of fight or flight. So deeper, even though you may not be consciously aware that you're stressed about your money, or that you have anxiety or fear about the future and closing and growing, all this stuff, deeper levels of consciousness may be harboring those thoughts and ideas, triggering that fight or flight response. And so now this idea of cognitive dissonance sort of brings it to your attention. So as I bring some of these ideas and thoughts and concepts, if they're new, just notice, because three things happen, because the brain and body doesn't like to be stressed out. It does not like this pressure, this challenge, and Melinda was talking about it, of conflict of two opposing thoughts. I'm here to grow a business. I want to make more money and be a blessing. Oh, but I don't want to feel guilty about it. Or people just say I'm greedy, right? So there's this conflict that shows up, whether you're aware of it or not. It's there. And some of these things show, three things happen. You justify and explain your position. You sort of dig your heels into it. The first one is the rational lies. You come up with reasons that, oh, it's the economy, oh, it's the government, oh, my clients are just stupid. You're sort of blaming other people, so it makes your position little better. Strengthening and reinforce, that's when you dig in. And the last part, you just forget it. It's not my time, it's not right for me. So I'm mentioning this because I just want you to sort of be aware that even if nothing really sets you off or creates some of that resistance, that it very still well could be going on. And to me, this is helping you create more wealth that you enjoy, that multiplies, that increases sort of all on its own, is important. But this is also about mental health, right? Because the number one cause of chronic anxiety and panic disorders and depression is this cognitive dissonance. And money is the number one, followed by relationships and not knowing your purpose, right? So again, much more expansive. I think Terry sort of laid that foundation. Yeah, we're talking about money, but it goes so much deeper than that. And I hope you sort of pick some of that up tonight. So with that, we're just going to do a quick little exercise to sort of reset. It's a great neurological reset. It's called the psychological sigh, or I'm sorry, the physiological sigh. And essentially what it does, it activates the vagus nerve and engages the parasympathetic nervous system. So when there's fight or flight, whether you know it or not, whether your heart's pounding or there's a lump in your throat or your stomach gets gnawed up, this still could be going on in the background. That's again why this stuff is so important, to bring it to your awareness so that you can help your brain and body heal even if you don't have any symptoms or things going on. And this technique can be used anytime you feel the brain and body, the nervous system getting a little worked up or triggered, whether it's during this training or anytime, making a sales call, business deal, whatever. And very simply, what I'm going to have you do is you're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and double it up. So breathe in through the nose and another one, and then a long extended exhale through the mouth. So very simply, if you want to do this with me, you're just simply breathing in through the nose, fill those lungs, and then long extended breath out for about 5 seconds. So short burst inhale and then a long extended exhale. And you may need to just notice what shows up in your body as you did that. You should feel just a little calm, a little relaxation, because that very simple yet powerful technique engages, like I said, the vagus nerve, sympathetic, parasympathetic, to help calm and relax. And if you need to do it a couple of times, you can do it a couple of times. All right, so with that, let's sort of jump in. Here's the first block, this personal money mindset. It's psychology references that a conditioned response. So this happens, we're going to talk a little bit about the brain and the nervous system. 80% of your belief system, which is your operating system, happens between the ages of 0 and 8. Between that 0 and 8, you have formed and created a belief system that becomes your operating system. Why is that important? Because 95% of everything you think, say, and do throughout the day, whether you think it or not, comes from that deeper level of consciousness. You say, "Oh, I got the invitation from Terry. I'm going to jump on this call." And it really looks like you made that decision, but I'm going to say no. Neuroscience research says that opportunity of being on this call right now was filtered through your subconscious, and it, for whatever reason, it said, okay, it was safe, so I'm going to proceed. Whether safety came through just trusting Terry and the Bacons, whether safety was I'm open to learn about more money, whatever it was, you didn't consciously make that decision. So 80, so again, sometimes it's a little tricky, but what we're dealing with is these belief systems came very early in life as a conditioned response. Think of Pavlov's dog. It's sort of learned, right? And so this is where some of these small money mindsets, and you can look and see and connect with those. But the day to day, it's like the nervous system was being stimulated through sight, sound, experiences up until about 8, and the surface or the prefrontal cortex wasn't even engaged, meaning that everything you saw, everything you experienced, everything you heard, everything your senses were taking in from your external environment, your subconscious said, "Oh, okay, let's believe that." Because there was no filter, there was no gate. The gate is your prefrontal cortex that didn't get activated till about 9 or 10 years old. So you're a sitting duck. All of us have these stories and these memories, and just know that as they get programmed at a deeper level of consciousness that, like I said, becomes your operating system. So this scarcity or poverty mindset that's very dominant that they talked about is pretty much where it comes from, meaning nobody actually chooses. I think I'm gonna be poor the rest of my life, and I think I'm choosing to struggle financially or have a no. Right? It was a learned response. And here's the important thing, because it was learned, it can be unlearned. And that's where I come in. How do we retrain the brain? How do we renew the mind? Romans 12:2, to be in proper alignment with the Deuteronomy 8:18 thing. You're gifting to produce wealth. I was working with a guy just the other day, and it was sort of the opposite, a little bit of what Terry mentioned. We were talking, and this guy was making money. He was doing good, but there was just all this negative energy around it. And I'm the energy guy, right? And I'll say one thing, I'll just throw it out there. It's like, if you don't get anything else from this training today, it's money it's an energy thing. So the more you think good about your money, the more you'll have. So that's a little side note. But he was dealing with some struggles, and I took him through the coaching process. And we always start with this primary blockage, this personal money mindset. And he came from a very impoverished family, but his experience was because he couldn't do anything, because they couldn't afford anything, because he saw all his buddies and friends doing activities and joining sports leagues, and he couldn't do it. He got really angry. There was a lot of anger at this deeper level of his being. And this anger created rebellion, and the rebellion was the motivation for him to make money. And so on the outside, I can't tell you how many millionaires and really successful people I've worked with this. On the outside, they're looking like they're doing pretty good. I want their life. I want their experience. And I'm like, if you knew their inner game, you wouldn't want that. Right? And so a lot of energy around not having the money and not being able to do what he could do. And so I want you to begin to see and connect with this external experience, this external environment that you're dealing with is a reflection of what's going on inside. I've got some other verses we'll look at, but this is an important aspect. So what we begin to look at the upgrade, and this is such an important thing. I could teach a whole hour just on becoming fully aware of these thoughts, fully aware of, my brain, and this is really important too. It's your brain that's thinking this stuff. right? Research says we've got about 80,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those are the exact same thoughts we had yesterday, and 90% of those are negative, unsupportive towards our goals and dreams, right? That's how we're wired. Thank you, Lord, for wiring my brain so negative. Why? Because again, the brain and human nervous system is a protective mechanism. It's not it's not fulfillment and growth and transformation. No, you have to actively do that stuff. So this idea of awareness and separating, creating a gap between your thought and you, creating some distance between my brain just thought a negative thought about money, my body has a feeling of anxiousness around paying my bills, my nervous system feels a little worried about closing that deal. Not you. You're not your brain, you're not your nervous system. How do you know? Then there's create that distinction between having a nervous system and being it. Well, when are you your nervous system? When you say things like, I'm stressed, I'm worried, I'm depressed. No, you're not. Your brain and nervous system are. You're not that. The Bible tells me that in 2 Timothy, we got a spirit. God gave us a spirit of love and power and sound mind, not of fear, not of timidity, not of worriness and depression. Those are functions and actions of your brain and body, and that's sort of their job. Again, we have time. We learn why your nervous system has thoughts of fear, worry, anxiety, and depression. That's not you. So create a separation, and when you observe that, you create that gap. Versus I'm worried or depressed versus my brain just, we acknowledge, we're not denying it, we're not refusing it, we're fully engaged, we're fully aware and noticing what my brain and body is doing. And I'm owning it because it's my brain and body. But I'm not my brain and body. It's just like if you had a kidney stone, right? You would say, my kidney's got some issues. It's stressed out, so it's creating a stone. You wouldn't say, I'm a, right? You wouldn't associate your identity with an organ function. Why would you do that to your brain? Why would you associate your identity, who you are as a spiritual being, with function of your brain? Right. So be fully aware, then ask, where'd that come from? Right. We begin to look at, oh, mom said this all the time, or this happened with dad, or whatever. And we question it. We put that detective hat on. You just question, like an attorney, challenging that thought, questioning it. Is that true that you're worthless? Is that true that it takes, time and hard work to make money? Is it true that people are going to think you're greedy? Or is it true that you won't be able to enter, right? Question it, challenges it. And that alone, just that alone, engages what's called neuroplasticity, because you challenge that rote thought. Or what do we just say? How many thoughts a day? 60,000. And if you don't step in, the Bible says take captive those thoughts. And this is one way to do it. Become aware of them so I can challenge it. And as soon as you do that, it messes up the neurosynapse of your brain and says, oh, no, they always think they're depressed. They really associate and really get into this feeling of worry and frustration, but now they questioned it. That alone begins to rewire the brain, right? So that's the shift. And then secondly, we look at, okay, what's the upgrade? Gratitude. So if there's another one thing, the first one thing is, just be really excited and feel good about your money. Second thing is be thankful for what you have. So the action step is, creating, at least 3 every night. What am I grateful for? How can I be grateful for the money I have? This is all relative. We go to some of these third world countries, and I promise you, I guarantee you that you're going to feel really good about your financial situation. Oh, but as soon as you look at, Terry and some of these upper level people making millions of dollars and you're struggling, then you feel bad. So it's all relative. It's meaningless. It's a story just based on where you're looking at. So let's start with this sense of gratitude. I'm so grateful that I have money to put gas in my car. I am so grateful that I'm able to pay my mortgage, right? Just begin to shift. Like I said, it's an energy thing. Shift the energy around your money and see what happens. That's an immediate change. I promise you'll see changes just from hearing that tonight. That should be a breakthrough. Second one. So let's look at this one, the global paradigms. This is a little bit more insidious because you don't even realize this happened to you, right? A paradigm is a cognitive framework shared by a bunch of people. It's like so widely accepted that you just sort of go with the crowd. It's not even questioned. It's not even, you don't even challenge it because this is just the way it is, right? And in psychology, it's called the learned response. It's through observation. It's not like a conditioned response where there may be maybe some trauma, maybe some pain, maybe some emotion, maybe some things associated with an experience. This is more learned and like I said, observational. And one of the big ones, and Terry already talked about it, and we spent a whole hour on this one, just the common religious money paradigms. If you take a look at some of those on the PowerPoint, money is the root of all evil. We can't be rich and spiritual. So it goes deep. And the thing that I really want to share with is begin to, again, we're looking at the three types of blocks. And I really didn't have this experience. I grew up Catholic, and my memory was, we go to church, and my mom, every week, every Sunday, she'd have two envelopes. She'd have the red one and the green one. And I would see her put money and bills in that and hand it out. I'd be like, Mom, why are you giving away money? What's that about? And she said, well, we've got to pray for the priests and the nuns. They pray for us. They stand in the gap for us for heaven and pray for our sins, and so we pay for their food and housing, right? And the other one was for, I think, save the children or something. But the idea was, it's like in my mind that was okay. It's my job to make money so that I can pay and support the church in this. So my experience was neutral in the sense that I didn't really be exposed to some of these, but it's a big deal. And really, what I want you to sort of think of to help neutralize and work with this one is the shift becomes money is a resource. I want you to look at that one. Bam, for some reason it's not coming up. Let's go back. Money, I want you to look at money as a resource. It's not good or bad, because that's one of the biggest ones. It's money is evil, and I don't want to be evil. I'm a good Christian boy. I want to be like Jesus. Jesus was good. Jesus was poor. I really question that. If you look at some of the research, the three kings, this guy was a multi-millionaire when those three kings showed up, if you really look into that. So again, challenging a paradigm that Jesus was poor, or that you have to be poor to be in line with Jesus. So we're not, that could really stir some things up. Talk about conditioned or cognitive dissonance. But so I want you to look at money as a resource. It's neither good nor bad. It's just like water and fire, right? Would you say, well, water's bad? Right? Well, it depends upon where you're coming at. It's bad if you're caught in a riptide, right? But it's good if you're hydrating your body so you get more activation for your X39 patch. Same with fire. Well, it's good if you're cooking your food, not so good if it's burning your house down. So it's neither one. And I want you to see money in the same way. It's a tool, it's a resource. It's not good or bad. It becomes good or bad in your hands. So if that becomes an issue, if that's something that, okay, you're concerned about or challenged, that's more of a heart issue. And this is what I mentioned here. Do you have money, or does money have you? And I want you to think of the emotional response. If there is fear, or if your nervous system, if your brain and body is experiencing fear, worry, stress, depression, whatever else, and unproductive or low energetic emotion around money, then money has you. Versus you have money, you choose how you feel, how you show up, how you think, how you behave around money as a resource, looking at it as a tool. So wealth doesn't change anybody. It sort of expands already who you are, right? And that's why the Bible, if you look at the Bible, there's over 2,000 references about money. It's a big deal, right? The Bible talks about it. So it's very open, saying, hey, money's a big deal as you're going through your human experience. Over 2,000 verses. And I would say about half is and half and half. Half are about blessings and half are warnings. And just like there's warnings, at the beach, there's a warning about riptides. It's sort of, okay, you can have fun swimming. Oh, but there's also some risk there. And you go camping, there's going to be some warnings about forest fires, right? So that's all the Bible's doing. It's just creating some warnings. Check your heart first. Don't blame money. Don't avoid money. Don't put any other judgment around money that is good, bad, whatever. Check your heart. That's why this inner game is so important. And your heart is healthy, your heart is strong, your heart is in the right place, then money will express that as well, right? And so the shift here, the upgrade is, and this is powerful. If you, again, if you don't get anything out of the training, this idea of purpose. What is your purpose for prosperity? What did I say before? The Deuteronomy 8:18. For God has given you gifts, talents, strengths, abilities to produce wealth. Why? Because your purpose is associated with it. It doesn't matter what your purpose is, you can do it bigger and better with more money. And so connecting with a bigger purpose for your wealth. And I'm telling, I mean, let's expand beyond paying off your mortgage, paying your kids' debts, paying your kids' call, whatever. All that stuff is done. All it's handled. You got so much money. There's no personal inner circle issue or challenge you need to address. Now, what do you need money for? What's this purpose? So I'm going to challenge you, sort of the growth work with this one is 3 purpose-driven causes for wealth. Why do you need more money? And in our 4-week training program, I got a guaranteed exercise that I'll take you through, that if this is a challenge for you, and it is, it's these are, you know, the Bible talks about purpose in a man's heart is like water buried in a deep well. It's the person of wisdom that will go and search and find it. And so finding purpose, because it's so important, because it's like a big deal, it's not, you got to dig deep for it. You got to search for it. So you have more accountability when you find it. But I'll take you through an exercise, a powerful exercise that will reveal your purpose for prosperity in our 4-week program. But for now, work on this one. All right, and the last one, the last blockage that we're dealing with. So let's say, even if, right, even if you had a great childhood and had no conditioning, and you weren't exposed to any global, religious paradigms that took you out or blindsided you, you still got a nervous system that has one commitment only, and that's your safety. And this is really important, because again, I've been doing in personal development for years, and I get triggered. I get activated when I hear, oh, you have limiting beliefs, or you have self-sabotaging behaviors or habits. No, you don't. God didn't give you a brain and nervous system to limit you or sabotage you or keep you hidden or stuck for any shape or form imaginable. Your nervous system exists to keep you safe, and it does that by keeping you the same, right? And so the challenge becomes, what's its definition of safety, right? And how you begin to define that. And with the first week, we're going to be looking at that in the program on, okay, how do you begin to reverse engineer what you believe? You look at your reality. So the reality sort of expresses that. But one of the main aspects is what we call the amygdala hijack. This idea of fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of judgment, all these different fears really isn't accurate. More accurately, what your brain and body is trying to do is avoid pain. So fear is sort of the symptom. That's the thing to let you know that there's something that potentially may cause you pain. And I really want you to get that, because a lot of personal development, a lot of coaches, they deal with, how do we overcome fear? How do we get really good at overcoming fear, love? That's dealing with the symptom. That's like taking aspirin for a headache. You don't have a headache because you don't have enough aspirin in your system. So it's not fixing anything. It's a band-aid. But I want you to understand, when fear is evident, and it will be, and I'll take fear all day long, because now I got something going. I got the nervous system's been triggered. The nervous system's engaged. There's something behind that. So fear is like, okay, thank you, go away. What pain are you trying to avoid? So I really want you to get connected with that. And one of the stories I shared with Melinda and Scott at the training was, it was a training. I was doing about 500 people, and I took them through an exercise. And the exercise was really simple. I said, fill in the blank. Money is what? Money is blank. You fill in the word, whatever. And I started working with some of the individuals throughout the cane. I'm really into experiential learning, and I took them through my breakthrough process. Okay, this was how you answered it. And so we begin to work with the what I call the low-hanging fruit, the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions. We begin to dig deep, and Linda talked about peeling back that, the onion, and we got to the root issues, these childhood experiences and the childhood conditioned response that was showing up today. And why is that important? Because once it's set for life until you have a breakthrough, until you experience breakthrough. And so I worked with a few people in the audience. They had the breakthrough, boom, everybody's clapping, tears, it was awesome. And leaving the auditorium, guy came over. He said, "I just wanted to share with you, I did that exercise. I wrote money is pain." And he's like, "I really had no idea why I wrote pain." He said, "Why would money be pain?" But as I listened to you work with those other students and work through that breakthrough process, peeling away and finding out what the core issue was at this deeper level of consciousness, I remembered instantly a memory I had. And I hadn't had this since this event. I didn't remember this since it happened. It was around 8 years old. What do we say? This time frame where your subconscious is very vulnerable, taking in everything, not being able to say, "I'll choose this one and not that one." Right. But what he remembered was his mom asked his dad for some grocery money. And that simple little innocent question ended up in a 911 call, his mother going to the hospital in an ambulance because a very severe argument ensued. And the background of this guy was that, I mean, he was an executive business coach. He needed 100 grand just to sit down with this guy. But his reality was he had nothing to show for it. Money was coming in. He had no issues, and his brain and body was really good with attracting wealth and money coming in. That's a core value issue, right? We'll get into that in the 4 week. But he didn't have that. His was couldn't hold on to it. It left just as easy as it came in. But as we were looking at that, we begin to see that, okay, was this experience, was that safe or threat? Right? Because that's all your nervous system does. It judges the experience. Am I safe or am I threatened? And the screaming and yelling and blood and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to say that was threat. And the issue was around what? Money. So in that moment, his nervous system, his subconscious took it upon itself to say, okay, I'm not safe right now, and I'm not safe because of money. And this result of his mother getting hurt and divorce and everything else created a lot of pain. So in that moment, he saw that how his nervous system associated money and pain. In that moment, the best way his nervous system, what does the nervous system do? Keeps you safe from pain, not fear, right? In order to do that, in order for me to do a good job as your nervous system, keeping you safe and avoiding this pain, I got to keep you from your money. And it did a really good job until he had that breakthrough and was able to reassociate, look at what actually was causing the pain, not the money. Again, money is neutral. Money is the scapegoat. He had a breakthrough. Not only was he able to grow now, hold on to his money. He hired like 3 new guys and did some coaching and everything else, right? So understand that we're working with a part of your brain, and you don't have pain or fear without an amygdala. Once again, is this idea of there's an organ system that's generating this. So you're not afraid, your amygdala is. You're not anxious, your hippocampus is. You don't have all these feelings and emotions. Your hypothalamus does, because it's generating neuropeptides causing these feelings. And it's all doing it for a reason. So breakthrough also gets a little deeper. So here's the shift. We're looking at reframe. This pretty much what we did. Cognitive reappraisal means reinterpret the situation. Was money really causing the pain, or was the pain because his mother was hurt and his family end up, dissolving? That creates a lot of emotional pain, but had nothing to do with money. Money got associated with it. We got to disassociate. And we're going to be working on specific techniques to do that in the 4 week. Recall past fears. This is another technique, simply to say how many of those fears actually happened and went through, actually happened. you'll probably see that not many of them did. And the proactive strategy would be to just sort of play out worst case scenarios and see what would you do? How would you handle it if it does? Again, neutralizing that energy around money is what we're after. So this is some of the things that I hear around this, and I want to finish up here, looking at just sort of taking a look at our time and getting into the actual offer, and we can do some Q&A. But this is what I hear from the work. My work is, and what would that happen if more opportunities to start showing up? You start exposing and removing these blocks. I guarantee these things are going to start seeing, because they're actually there right now. The filters that are going on at these different levels of consciousness blind you to that, right? The people, the places, I'm going to say everything's in place right now to take you to your next level in your business. But there's a level of nervous system that's keeping you safe from all this change. So as we pull that off, those things are going to start showing up and coming. I hear it all the time. I can pretty much guarantee that one. That's part of breakthrough, right? Able to manage unpleasant thoughts and emotions actively. Again, knowing you have a nervous system and you're not your nervous system gives you, it's almost like you're taking care of a part of you. You're taking care of your kids or your spouse. Someone is hurting. What do? You show up, you want to help your nervous system overcome some of these thoughts and feelings and not be them anymore. Help your brain and body heal from them. Getting through breakthrough is a practice. It's a principle. It's something you get good at. So once we teach you this practice of breakthrough, when your nervous system gets triggered, when these blocks show up, you know exactly what to do. And I have a 3-step process that we work through that we're going to be teaching you. But how would that feel? It's like you can expect it when you start pushing change, when you start wanting to grow your business, whenever change is coming, expect your nervous system to create some resistance. Whether it happens quick or later on, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And that's why I know Terry and the Bacons are committed to this work, because they see it all the time. People quitting, the attrition rate, all these different things. You're going to hit the ceiling. We're giving you access and tools how to acknowledge it and see it as an opportunity, not a reason to quit, not a reason to stop, but a reason, an opportunity to break through. It's actually a cool thing when you hit that ceiling, because you're sort of you push the limits of your belief system, and it's not safe anymore. It's not safe with all that money and time and freedom and joy and extra income you're making. Because why? It's different. That's all. It's just different. It's not that it's bad or negative, whatever. And so you sort of learn that process, and it becomes pretty exciting to work with. So think about that. Uh, so we covered a lot of stuff. Hopefully you got that, the whole inner game is really important. And what would it be like not to be subject to the childhood conditioning, those paradigms, and your nervous system? These things I'm going to say, what did we say in the beginning? 95% of everything you're doing is happening at these levels based on conditioning, based on these paradigm models, and how your nervous system has been trained to act and respond around money, around business, around doing cold calls, around doing presentations, whatever's showing up. And we're going to teach you and train you to be really aware and conscious of these things in a growth and learning opportunity, not something to be afraid of or takes you out, right? And so looking at this, how I set it up, we basically looked at the 3 blocks, and there's more, but these are the 3 big ones: the scarcity, the mindset, poverty paradigms, reactive nervous system. But in the 4-week training, now what we're going to do, we're answering the question, well, what type of blockage? And hopefully tonight you're getting a little idea where it might be, maybe one, maybe all 3, right? It's all good. But more importantly, how we solve this and help recover and heal is, where in the brain is it located? Really important. Prefrontal cortex, deep limbic system, and the more functional brain in the back. So that's what we're going to be spending time on in this training. So taking a look at this offer, this is the core offer of the 4 weeks. The first week is the power and principle of breakthrough, and looking at, again, exactly what I was talking about, learning the principle, something you can really get confidence in. Just like electricity, nobody questions electricity. The principle of electricity, if you flip the lights on, it doesn't go on. You say maybe electricity. work anymore. No, you go right to the application. It's the wire, it's the bulb, something, right? I want you to get the same confidence around breakthrough. It works every time, but then what are the steps? What are the applications? So I can take advantage of I'm hitting the wall, I'm hitting resistance, that blockage is there. What do I do? So we're going to spend the first week really dialing that in. The second week, going again, just look at the three parts of the brain. Spend that first week. Think of it, each brain is a separate, distinct region, and there's a code, there's a formula, there's a combination to unlock that part of your brain. The prefrontal cortex is totally different from your deep limbic system. And if your blockage is there, we need a specific combination to unlock and heal. And the same thing with each level. So that's what we're doing with each week, specifically looking at identifying, what type of blockage and where is it at, and what do we do with it. And so the value I put to this, my private coaching, when I do private coaching with clients, one-on-one stuff, that's all the deep dive work that I do. That's $800 to $900 an hour, and it sort of ranges. So this is a group coaching, so I discounted it to 500, and that's a very accurate, price point as far as spending an hour and a half of what we're working with. So the core value of the program, $2,000. And one of the things that I like, again, sort of the idea of unlocking and releasing and freeing your mind. This is a great quote. Men and women are not prisoners of fate, but only prisoners of their mind. You can keep a one on that one. A couple of bonuses, and then we'll wrap up here and do some Q&A. Exclusive content. So I picked a couple of training programs for my other high-end packages that I work with my clients. This alone, I picked these two because they've created so many breakthroughs. And so this alone would pay for the program, but financial breakthrough training, it's really a neuroscience based, learning how your brain responds to money, behaviors. It's really looking at a mechanical aspect of when we talk about you're not your brain, you have one. How does it deal and think and grow around money? And then my Now Prosperity is sort of the opposite. So again, with Source Trainings, that's my company. It's a combination of science and spirit. So I'm taking a purely neuroscience aspect to this work, and then a spiritual aspect. I look at 4 specific areas of blockage that Christians and people of faith deal with. So those 2 trainings are a special bonus just for joining up. So adding that, again, we got all the four levels. And think again, the 4 levels, the 3 brain regions rather, this idea of the analytical brain. You may have heard it as the mammalian brain or emotional brain. And then the back part is the reptilian. So again, neuroscience, there's the 3 different regions, and there's 3 different regions for different purposes. So again, we want to be able to really acknowledge and work with, where this blockage is at. So adding that, we're at 2100. Then I've got this was really, I threw this in because I wanted to share it with you, because this is another more going back to those religious paradigms that really sort of rock my world. When we talk about you can't, in Matthew, right, it talks about you can't serve 2 masters. And we worked with a coach one time, and he said, is money your master? I said, no. And he says, well, how do you determine? At the time I was sort of struggling with some financial stuff and everything. And he's like, well, I can see you're having some issues about paying for these things. And you're determining your ability to pay for something based on what you in your checking account or your credit card. I said, yeah, well, that's sort of what it is. He says, well, if you're letting your bank account and credit card determine the choices you step, then money is your master. I was like, oh, that's sort of gut punch, right? Money is your master if you look at your bank account and your credit card to determine what you're going to buy, what you're going to purchase, right? I want that new car. I see value. I'm really resonating with this. We need this. This is something we need. Oh, but we can't afford it. We can't do that because the amount in the bank doesn't let us. Money is controlling your situation in that moment. Money is determining your lifestyle, your freedom. And in that moment, I made a decision that's never going to happen to me. I will never let money be my master. So that was a big motivation for me to really learn these principles and study. And again, in that space of also mastering my money, I'm really connecting with the purpose and having those positive emotions, gratitude, thanksgiving, and appreciation for my money. So I wanted to throw that out. That could be a breakthrough for some people. We also, another bonus, private Facebook group. This is important to be able just to interact, even though we're going to do once a week calls. We want to stay engaged. So shares, breakthroughs, ahas, notices, questions as a community. We're going to be setting that up for you as well. I asked Chat GPT what the value of that is, and it said $200. So I wanted to throw that. So if we look at everything, again, we got the formulas, the whole brain formula week 1, working through all 3 brain regions through the 4-week training, exclusive content, the private Facebook group. Again, even just, I'm going to say the bonuses themselves will be paying for that. So now we're up to about 2,300, and habits change. And I threw this in here simply because the idea of habits, a habit, if we look at the brain and body as your nervous system as a safety and protective mechanisms, what you do and don't do habitually is for your safety. And that makes, it's like, well, I got a habit of smoking, or I got a habit of not exercising, right? You got some bad habits. Well, you made a conscious judgment of that. You're doing that or behaving that way or unable to control that. It's because it's deeply rooted at the stronger level of consciousness, because that level of consciousness says that behavior is safety for you. And if you stop that and don't do that, you might die. The habit is formed and maintained at the same level of your nervous system that breathing, respiration, and heartbeat is at, right? Survival. So it doesn't come easy. And so we're going to be introducing, how do I, as I say, upgrade your brain and body to produce new, healthy, productive habits. And if you don't address some of these things, you'll never change, because overcoming that safety mechanism is, as far as habits and the way you think and the way you feel and the way you behave around money, is just as difficult as trying to stop breathing or managing your own heart rate. It's pretty much impossible unless you're, Buddhist monk or something like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So last bonus, and then we'll open up Q&A. Is my personal email. So I didn't really put a price to this, because basically what I'm saying, if for some reason you want to do some one-on-one connection through the training program, you're not comfortable sharing it on the open Facebook, I'm available for that. I just ask that you keep it around the questions stay focused on the content and the ideas that we were talking about that week. But what I want you to know is I'm in this with you. I'm engaged with you as much as we can in a virtual type of environment, right? So the the Zoom trainings 101, we're going to be doing Q&As with those. You got your bonuses, you got your extra trainings, you got your Facebook group, and now the email. So very simply, and then like I said, I'm just gonna let me go to this one, and then we'll go to, it's one of my favorite verses, so I want to end with this one. As water, it's same theme that we've been talking about the whole time. This is just how the Bible references. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. So stop blaming your situation and circumstance, or even worse, trying to change it without first changing the thing that's behind it and causing it. It's reflecting. Your inner being is reflecting in your outer world. And that's what the key of the inner game is. So we're going to really invite you to be part of this program. And with the work that I'm doing with Terry, this is pretty much a no-brainer. She said, give me a no-brainer price. And this is what I came up with. And as you know, the value, like I said, I got people paying 10 times that. But the idea is here, we want to create some change. We want to create some growth. I don't want money to be an issue. But like I said, even if this is a challenge, you need this more than anything. Don't let money be your master. find a way to make, come up with 97 bucks for this one. But there's the login. Once you go to that site, it gives some more detail about the training. You can opt in, pay for the course, and then from that you'll get a private Zoom link from there. So that's it, Terry. I'm going to turn it back over to you and open up for Q&A.
All right. Hey, Chris, if you can, and I guess go ahead and unshare your slideshow. And Chris, if you're there too, or maybe I can control that. Let me get back in here. And if you would take down the slideshow. Hey, Chris Sauer, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead and,
Yeah.
um,
Stop.
yeah, go ahead and, yeah. And then with
He
Dr.
did. He did.
Matt as well, have him up here. Ah, from Marion
Okay.
Evans DeMarco. Wow, 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 she said, Dr. Matt. Oh my goodness. I took pictures of all the slides and I had lots of text messages
Well, I
coming.
can send that to you, Terry, and you can get it out to everybody. That's fine too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, we'll post the replay in LifeWave Champions, the private
Oh,
Facebook group. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And when Dr. Matt held up that price of $97, that's $97. Don't sign off yet, folks, for the next 4 sessions total, a total of $97. That'd be the only thing I would say. Tweak your slide, make it really clear. It's 97 for the next 4 sessions. Okay.
got it. Got
Somebody
it.
else, Dr. Christine said, so good, thank you. Um, I believe that if this is, I was really trying to, as I was listening, I'm trying to reflect on myself, and I don't have a problem with big thinking. Sometimes it's like too big, maybe to a detriment. But for the people who are so shackled with it's the way Melinda had described it. It was something she said, dissonance, I think.
Cognitive dissonance. Yes, yes.
Cognitive dissonance, yeah. Um, I love what you said. You have a purpose for prosperity. And that I call it the why. So in our LifeWave training, and y'all hang in there, hang in for a couple more minutes if you can. When we're interviewing people that, we're trying to figure out who do we want as the top 5 vice presidents in our company. Like in mine, I can name the total of 5, but the top 2 that come to mind right now are Cynthia Sauer and Tina Mann. And if I ask both of those ladies, what is your why? They would have a clear definition for their why. And it's part of the why. It's more than just paying off a mortgage or whatever. They have such aspirations for what they want to do with prosperity if they
Yes.
can get there. Um, Not if, but when they get there. And I shared this at last year's virtual convention at Las Vegas. And I very openly shared because I was trying to talk about the why. So it's not about, oh, I want to make $25,000 a week or whatever somebody's answer is. It's like, well, why do you want to make X amount per week? As you're working your side gig before you leave your full-time job, right? Because that's the why. And so if somebody answers, well, whatever, I know I've used this example many times, but it was a real example. I want to buy a boat. Well, why is that boat so important to you? Well, I went through a divorce with my first marriage, and I had no time with the kids. I was ended up working 2 or 3 jobs, and now the guy's on to a second marriage and a baby on the way. And this man's dream is to, because he wants a boat, he doesn't want a payment on the boat, get that boat paid off. So the children from the first marriage, who are now teenagers, and the baby on the way, they can
Mm.
make great. I get choked up even as I
Yeah.
share this because that's the why. And that's what you mean by you have a purpose for prosperity. So what
Yes.
I shared at the virtual convention last January, my why's it's not for a bigger boat. I've had a boat with a cabin, couldn't stand it because it was like one more house to clean. All I need is a boat we have, 25-foot center console, whatever that thing's called, Sea Hunt or Sea something. Spray it down, clean it up, you're done in 30 minutes. Um, my why is not only do I want to fund the pro-life ministry that I run, Hosea Initiative, because of the
Yeah.
promise I made to Dr. Bernard Nathanson, the father of the abortion industry, who became pro-life, and he talked about shackles. He wanted the truth. He wanted America liberated by the truth of what he left behind. So I shook his hand. I promised him I get the mission done. But that requires money. That's number one. Number two, I want to be able to generously write fat checks to the right ministries that help all these sex trafficked women
Yeah.
and
Yes.
the babies that were produced, and even the little boys, sadly, who were, sex trafficked. You know, I want to be able to write a $50,000 check and not think twice about it. And then third, I want to be able to fund what's called the SSPX, the Society of St. Pius X, which is producing fantastic, holy, theologically brilliant priests, because that is what the world needs. And I want to be able to write $100,000 checks whenever I want to. That's literally my why. It has nothing to do with I want
Right.
prettier clothes. God, I don't even care. It's just like the other wants are so small. So if what you shared today, and what I just shared can help lift the lid on somebody's head, the lid that they have kept on themselves, fiat, let it be so. Because of what you said, I have a purpose for prosperity.
Yes.
Okay, we got to get beyond just the material world. There's so many hurting people, and the world is in such need of so many positive things. But unfortunately, it takes money. But so the I want before I totally wrap up, do you have a final word, Dr. Matt, before I wrap up with a Bible verse that has to do with light?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, and just sort of a staying on that. Like I said, what I would encourage everybody is you took notes, great, because that was probably the thing that you needed to hear, at least, make tangible, writing it down. But just one thing, the thing that really stood out the most, just spend some time with it and go deeper. As you said, the why, it's the more boats and cars and money and those things. But the what you described is part of this exercise we'll go through is there's a connection, there's a picture, there's an image connected with the purpose for money. We can see writing a $500,000 check to this, sex trafficking, right? So as you generate that picture, now the heart really gets engaged. And if see again, it's all about safety. If the and if just again, I could keep going, but the idea is if you feel good about what you're using your money for, that's safety. Your brain and body interpret that, oh, this must be safe because he feels good. So I'm going to help them generate that.
Mm.
Right. So feeling really good and excited about telling people about X39 patch, feeling really good and excited about people, wanting to, it's an energy thing. And the more positive energy you can associate with your money and income, the easier and quicker you're going to beginning to upgrade and retrain the brain. So yeah.
I will be when we hang up and just make maybe in the chat post so to make it easy on everybody. Go ahead and if you have it handy, post your link to sign up for the $97 course. I'll be the first one. As soon as we hang up, I'll be signing up. And if you like what Dr. Matt had to say, I hope everybody will. I've just cast my vision. So if any of you can buy into part two-thirds or three-thirds of the vision that I have. Let's save lives. Let's help those sex traffic victims, and let's get the word of God spread globally all over the world. That's part of my vision. And if you put yours in there, imagine this Christmas tree. If all of us on this call really had our whys or our why, then imagine all the good that can come from this. And
Yeah.
so have you posted, Dr. Matt, there it is. All right. So if you all are considering, if you want to make it easy, just click on it now before we sign off of this webinar. because then it'll be, because I think if you don't click on it now, it's going to obviously disappear. So if you click on it now, you'll have that open on your computer or your iPad or whatever you're on. All right, so thank you, Dr. Matt. And I'm going to wrap up with this Bible verse. And oh, by the way, the courses, this will be, this is being recorded, and I will post that within hopefully the next hour or two in LifeWave Champions. You're free to share that with your friends, your family, whoever, and they don't have to be LifeWave brand partners. And as you were going, it's like, oh my gosh, I can think of about 5 people across America who right now probably want you to come to their own communities or do this, for the broader community. So we'll be picking up that conversation. So with that in mind, I'll be the first one to sign up. I'm looking forward to that. So the next 4 weeks, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Central time, same place. Well, actually, not the same place. When you sign up and you make your payment, he will send you the link to his Zoom room. It will not be on mine like today. It's going to be his. And the only thing I asked of Dr. Matt is just share with me who from LifeWave Champions signed up, on his courses. That's the only thing I'm interested in. And then also, before you sign off, I was asking earlier today, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing, if you would go onto Facebook Messenger and answer those 3 questions that I had. Ideally, I wanted people to answer them before you heard from Dr. Matt, but these are the 3 questions, and they're just simply yes, no. All you got to do is say yes, yes, no, 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 yes, or whatever the answer is. Number 1 question. So find me on Facebook Messenger, to be clear. You don't post this in Champions, just Facebook Messenger. I'm the only one who's going to see it. And I'm only doing this so I can sort of collate the information to see if what Dr. Matt went over today, and then at the end of the next 4 weeks, does it change your mind or whatever? It's, do you believe you have purpose for prosperity? So this is all pre listening to Dr. Matt today. Number 2, would you say you are in complete control of your financial decisions? And number 3, would you say you know why you're in the financial situation you're currently in right now, whatever that may be? So those are just yes, yes or no questions. If you'd find me on Messenger and just send me that. But this is all pre Dr. Matt's presentation. And then I'm really curious if you would respond to post Dr. Matt's presentation today. And then for those who sign up for the course, we'll be looking at all of this again at the end of 4 weeks. Okay. So I'm going to tie this back into LifeWave. Okay. Because that was certainly the catalyst. I wouldn't have even known of Dr. Matt had it not been for LifeWave and Scott and Melinda Bacon. So I want to read you about light from the book of John, John chapter 1. And it starts with verse 4 and it goes through verse 9. Listen to the word light, okay? Because I think everybody on this call, I know some people have had to pop off, but we still have a lot of people on. So here it goes. In him was life, and the life was the light of man. So why am I going over this? Woo, Sarah Zoyce, Sarah Zoyce, Sarah Zoyce, you popped up right back in at the right time. I'm going over these Bible verses because we are spreading the light. These phototherapy patches, which we all know what they do, I'm not going to get into all that. We're spreading God's gift of light. God put light into our bodies. We all emit that light, and then God chose a scientist who happened to be a Christian to figure out how to use that light to help regenerate, restore, renew our bodies. And the testimonies are absolutely phenomenal, right? So here we go. Count how many lights there are just in these first 9 verses. Starting with John chapter 1, verse 4. In him was life, and the life was the light of man. And the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. This man came for a witness to give testimony of the light. Woo! that
Hmm.
all men might believe through him. He, John, was not the light, but he was to give testimony of the light. And that was the true light which enlightened every man that comes into this world. So I, Terry Beatley, as the head of the champions team, like it, love it, or hate it, I have no idea. But that is what motivates me. We are to be the light in numerous different ways. And we are to stand and stand on truth. And there is truth in the patent that David Schmidt got. There's truth in what Dr. Matt Mannino just shared today. And there is truth that if you can get your purpose for your future prosperity, whatever it may be, maybe your goal is just to get your patches paid for. Hallelujah. That'll liberate you so you can spend more money on your grandchildren. I don't know what your why or your why is, but whatever your purpose is, I do believe these next 4 sessions for only $97 with Dr. Matt are going to be very fruit bearing. Okay. And, God says you'll know them by their fruit. And look at what Dr. Matt did. He went from a small thinking, just a very small chiropractic office to being one of the leading, most prosperous chiropractic practices across America. And so you will know them by their fruit. And so I encourage you. And if all you do is today, I hope today will bless you. May it multiply. I'll get the recording posted in Lifeway Champions, and let's go. It is go time. And I hope to see you the next 4 Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Dr. Matt. And the last word is yours.
Thank you, Terry, so much. I'm so excited. I know we're on to something really big, and I feel it in my heart, and just really encourage everybody to take action. And excited to really produce some big change in your community.
Awesome. And the part I enjoyed the best, or well, maybe, but when you told me to breathe.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
even typed in there, ah. All right. And with that, God bless you all. Thanks for being on. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Dr. Matt.